Hey guys, it's Dave. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove the rear shocks from a 350Z and get them replaced. I'll go through the process. It's pretty simple, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so to remove this rear shock, you're going to need to remove this 17mm nut, and there's two 12mm nuts up top. Let me show you where those are. Alright, so you're going to have a 12mm nut here on this stud, and on the back side you're going to have a 12mm nut here. Let's get those off. Okay, so I've got the two 12mm nuts off the top. I pulled the 17mm nut off the bottom. Now, if your shock is still pretty good, you might have to use two hands and a little bit of force. But what you do is you grab the shock and you push up on it. So you compress it. And that'll let you slide it right on out. Okay, so there's the old shock on the upper side, and the bottom shock is already completed that I did off camera. But I wanted to show the differences because they are very different. On the bottom shock, it's KYB. I bought a new boot. I bought new bushings for it. The only thing that we use from the factory is that top mounting bracket. On the other shock, you can see it has a boot, but it's more of a sleeve style and covers all the way down. You're welcome to use yours. You don't have to buy the new boots. The bump stop's already in the factory. The new boot kit comes with the bump stop. You just put it in differently. So I'm going to go through the process on how to disassemble the old shock so that I can get that mounting bracket and then put all the new parts together on my new shock. At the end of this shock, you're going to see a 14mm nut, and it's going to have like two flat parts on the end of this shaft. If you try to take this 14mm nut off without holding the shaft, everything is just going to spin. So I like to use some vice grips. And I'll clamp down on the end of that shaft. Next, I take my 14mm wrench and it starts to move. The shaft stays still because of the vice grips. When you get towards the end, the shaft doesn't move as much. If you find that yours does, you might have to get some needle nose pliers to hold it. But in my case, my old shock is disassembled. Okay, so my new KYB shock, you're going to take, if you bought this boot kit, you're going to take this bump stop, and this flat piece is going to go down. You're just going to insert it like that. Now this boot fits around this cylinder edge here only one way. If you put it on backwards, it's going to be too loose. So you can try and see that how it's real loose. Now it's nice and tight. You take this from the factory old shock and you put this down into the top. Now your boot is going to want to get in here, and you want to seat that with the flathead screwdriver. Okay, since we've got our new bushings and our mounting bracket, right, we're going to put this edge here, the flat part, towards the bottom. Stick it in like so. The end of this bushing is going to be beveled so that it fits in this bracket hole. So it's going to sit like that, and you've got a metal sleeve that's going to fit down in it like so. And this bushing also has an edge to fit onto the new bracket. Just going to slide all that in. You might get to the point where you can't see any threads, so you might have to use some clamps to clamp this tighter. In my case, I think I've got enough thread to put the new lock nut on it. And I do. So the same thing here. You're going to have to hold the shock. You'll be able to tighten this lock nut for just a little bit until the shaft will start spinning. Then we'll have to clamp the shaft. Now you don't want to over torque it. The lock nut's got nylon threading to keep it locked so it's not going anywhere. When you feel like you're giving it too much torque, then you're done. Now the last step is to take this boot and get it wedged into this bottom cup. You don't want to rip it, so you just got to be somewhat gentle with it. Alright guys, so now we're done with the assembly. You're going to see a gap here, but when you put the weight of the car, it's going to compress down. You won't see this gap on the car. So I'm going to install these, same procedure, just in the reverse order of taking them off. Compress the shock, put in my 2 bolts at the top, put in a 17mm bolt at the bottom. So yeah guys, this is how I installed the new shocks on the back of my 350Z. If you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, comment, like, share, and I'll catch you in the next one.